Years passed, and humanity's place in the galaxy transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The strict oversight imposed by the Galactic Council became a catalyst for change rather than a punishment. Under careful guidance, Earth embraced new methods of conflict resolution, focusing on diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange. Slowly but surely, trust began to rebuild, not just with the Council, but with other species as well. Daniel Carter settled into his role as a mentor, guiding young soldiers and diplomats through the challenges of interstellar relations. His experiences during the Zorathian incident had left an indelible mark on him, shaping his belief that strength lay not in weapons, but in understanding. He often shared stories of his past mistakes, emphasizing the importance of accountability and growth. To many, he became a symbol of humanity's potential, a reminder that even those who stumble can rise again. Samantha Brooks continued her work on the Galactic Council, earning respect from representatives across the galaxy. Her tireless advocacy for transparency and cooperation helped reshape humanity's image. Where once humans were seen as reckless and aggressive, they now stood as proof that progress was possible. Samantha's efforts led to groundbreaking initiatives, including joint research projects with alien civilizations and programs aimed at fostering mutual understanding. She never forgot the lessons she'd learned during those tense days in the council chambers, lessons about courage, integrity, and the power of truth. Dr. Emily Grant played a key role in these advancements, using her expertise to bridge gaps between cultures. Her studies of alien languages, traditions, and histories opened doors that had long been closed. Through her work, humanity gained insight into the diverse tapestry of life beyond Earth. In turn, other species came to appreciate Earth's unique qualities, the creativity, resilience, and adaptability that defined its people. Laura Hayes flourished in her new career as a diplomat, rising quickly through the ranks. Her first-hand experience during the crisis gave her a deep appreciation for the complexities of galactic politics. She worked closely with Samantha, helping to negotiate treaties and alliances that strengthened Earth's ties to the Council. Though still young, Laura carried herself with confidence, knowing she was part of something greater than herself. As for the Zorathians, their relationship with humanity evolved into one of cautious friendship. Over time, they revealed more about their culture and technology, sharing knowledge that benefited both species. Joint missions explored uncharted regions of space, uncovering wonders neither side could have discovered alone. The drones destroyed during the skirmish were remembered not as symbols of loss, but as reminders of how far both civilizations had come since that fateful day. Back on Earth, public opinion shifted dramatically. Once divided over the Council's decision, citizens now rallied behind efforts to strengthen ties with the galaxy. Schools introduced courses on xenobiology and interstellar diplomacy, preparing future generations for life among the stars. Spaceports bustled with activity as humans traveled freely across the cosmos, exchanging ideas and forging connections. Looking back, Daniel often reflected on how much had changed. Humanity wasn't perfect. It never would be, but it had proven capable of growth and redemption. Mistakes had been made, lives had been lost, and trust had been broken. Yet through honesty, effort, and perseverance, humanity had earned its place among the stars. One evening, as Daniel gazed at the night sky, he felt a sense of peace. Somewhere out there, the Zorathians watched silently, perhaps ready to extend a hand of friendship once more. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Daniel knew humanity would face them together, not as conquerors or aggressors, but as partners in a shared journey toward a brighter future. And so, under the vast expanse of the universe, humanity stepped forward, no longer defined by its flaws, but by its boundless potential. The emergency session ended with a mix of relief and tension. The truth about the conspiracy had been revealed, but the fallout was far from over. Council members who had orchestrated the scheme were quickly removed from their positions, while others faced intense scrutiny. Cal Varn took charge of restoring order, his voice calm yet firm as he addressed the assembly. "This council exists to uphold justice and unity," he said. "We cannot allow manipulation to undermine our purpose." With the conspirators exposed, attention turned back to humanity's role in the galaxy. The original proposal to ban humans from warfare remained on the table, though opinions had shifted significantly. Some representatives still believed such measures were necessary, while others argued that humanity deserved a chance to prove itself under stricter oversight. Samantha Brooks stood before the council once more, her voice steady despite the exhaustion she felt. "What happened was a tragedy," she admitted, "but it was also a lesson. We've shown you that we can face the truth, even when it hurts. We've taken responsibility for our actions and worked to uncover corruption within your own ranks. Isn't that proof enough that we're capable of growth?" Cale nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps a complete ban isn't the answer," he suggested. "Instead, let us impose strict protocols to ensure humanity adheres to nonviolent conflict resolution. Oversight committees will monitor Earth's military activities, and access to advanced technologies will come with conditions." The motion passed narrowly, reflecting the divided feelings among the council members. While not perfect, the compromise represented a step forward, a way for humanity to remain part of the Galactic Council without posing a perceived threat. For Samantha, Daniel, and their allies, it felt like a hard-fought victory. Back on Earth, reactions were mixed. General Harper fumed at the restrictions, calling them an insult to human sovereignty. But many citizens saw hope in the decision, believing it marked a new chapter for humanity. Public debates raged, but most agreed that cooperation with the Council was better than isolation. For Daniel Carter, the ruling brought both relief and reflection. He stepped down from active duty, choosing instead to mentor young leaders. His experiences had taught him that strength wasn't just about combat. It was about understanding, patience, and accountability. He began working closely with Laura Hayes, who decided to pursue a career in diplomacy after seeing firsthand how words could shape the future. Samantha returned to Earth briefly to address the United Nations, urging world leaders to embrace the Council's terms. Her speech resonated deeply, earning her widespread support. She then returned to the Council chambers, where she continued advocating for humanity's place in the galaxy. Though challenges lay ahead, she remained optimistic, knowing that every small victory mattered. Dr. Emily Grant stayed by Samantha's side, using her expertise to foster goodwill between humans and other species. Together, they launched initiatives aimed at cultural exchange and scientific collaboration. Their efforts helped rebuild trust, proving that humanity could contribute positively to galactic progress. As months passed, the wounds of the past began to heal. The Zorathians, whose peaceful intentions had sparked the initial tragedy, reopened channels of communication. They expressed cautious interest in forming alliances with Earth, recognizing humanity's willingness to learn from its mistakes. Daniel often found himself staring at the stars, thinking about how close everything had come to falling apart. He realized now that being part of something greater than himself meant accepting responsibility, not just for his actions, but for the future he wanted to build. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. In the end, humanity's story wasn't defined by its flaws or failures. It was shaped by its resilience, its determination to grow, and its refusal to give up, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. And for Daniel, Samantha, and everyone else who had fought so hard, that was enough to believe in brighter days ahead. With the evidence safely retrieved, Daniel Carter and his team knew they had to act quickly. The Council's vote was scheduled for the next morning, and Samantha Brooks was still being held under arrest, accused of leaking classified data. If they didn't present the truth before the session began, humanity's fate would be sealed, and the real conspirators would walk away unpunished. Daniel, Laura Hayes, and Dr. Emily Grant gathered in a small, secure room near the Council chambers. They reviewed the files Laura had copied from the archives, piecing together a clear picture of the conspiracy. It wasn't just one or two rogue members. It was a network of influential figures who had manipulated events to provoke conflict. Their goal: to weaken Earth's standing in the galaxy and consolidate power among older civilizations. We need to get this to Cal Varn, Daniel said firmly, pointing to the data drive. He's our best shot at exposing this. Emily nodded in agreement. Cal has shown fairness before. If anyone will listen, it's him. Laura hesitated, her hands trembling slightly as she held the drive. But how do we reach him without getting caught? The entire building is on high alert after last night. Daniel thought for a moment, then made a decision. I'll go. I'm the least recognizable here. You two stay safe and keep working on backup plans in case something goes wrong. Before they could argue, Daniel slipped out of the room, blending into the busy corridors of the council headquarters. He moved cautiously, avoiding patrols and security cameras. His heart raced as he approached Cal Varn's office, but he forced himself to stay calm. Reaching the door, he knocked softly. Cal opened it, his expression guarded. When he saw Daniel, surprise flickered across his face. "What are you doing here?" he asked quietly, pulling the human inside. "I have proof," Daniel said without preamble, handing over the drive. "This shows who's behind everything. The skirmish, the misinformation, even framing Ambassador Brooks. Someone wanted humans to look like aggressors." Cale studied the files carefully, his eyes narrowing as he absorbed the details. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he looked at Daniel, his voice low but firm. "If this is true, it changes everything. But bringing this to light won't be easy. The conspirators are powerful, and they'll fight back." "I don't care," Daniel replied, his tone unwavering. "We're not letting them win. Not after what they've done." Cale nodded slowly. "Very well. I'll call an emergency session before the vote. But you must understand, the consequences of this will ripple far beyond today." As Cal prepared to address the council, Daniel returned to Emily and Laura, relaying the plan. They waited anxiously, knowing the next few hours would determine humanity's future. When the council reconvened, the atmosphere was tense. Representatives whispered among themselves, unsure why they had been summoned so suddenly. Cal Varn stepped forward, his presence commanding silence. "Before we proceed with the vote," he began, "new evidence has come to light that demands our attention." He displayed the files Daniel had provided, revealing the web of deceit orchestrated by certain council members. Shock rippled through the chamber as names were named and connections exposed. Accused representatives tried to defend themselves, but the evidence was undeniable. Amid the chaos, Samantha was brought back into the chamber, her arrest deemed invalid. She stood beside Daniel, gratitude shining in her eyes. Together, they watched as the tide turned. Council members who had once doubted humanity now saw the truth. The manipulators' schemes had been laid bare, and their credibility was shattered. Though the road ahead remained uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity had earned another chance. And for Daniel, Samantha, and their allies, that was enough. For now, the final vote was only hours away when Samantha Brooks made her move. Armed with the evidence of the conspiracy, she prepared to expose the truth to the Galactic Council. She knew it was a risky gamble. Revealing classified information could backfire, painting humanity as untrustworthy or desperate. But she also knew that staying silent would mean letting those who manipulated the situation win. Samantha requested an emergency session before the vote, claiming she had critical new information to present. The council agreed reluctantly, and within minutes, the chamber filled with curious representatives. Whispers spread as Samantha stepped forward, holding a data tablet in her hands. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to remain calm. This was humanity's last chance. "I have uncovered evidence," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "Evidence that this entire incident, the skirmish with the Zorathians, was not an accident. It was orchestrated by individuals within the council itself." Gasps rippled through the room. Some representatives leaned forward, intrigued, while others exchanged skeptical glances. Cal Varn watched intently, his expression unreadable. Samantha continued, projecting holographic images of the secret communications she had discovered. These messages show collusion between certain council members and shadowy organizations. Their goal: to provoke conflict and weaken Earth's standing in the galaxy. A representative from the Valon species stood abruptly, buzzing angrily. "This is outrageous. You accuse us without proof." "It's not just accusations," Samantha replied firmly. "Look at the timestamps. Trace the origins. Someone wanted humans to fail, to look reckless and violent. Why else would vital information about the Zorathians' peaceful intentions be withheld?" The room erupted into chaos. Voices rose in protest. Accusations flew, and Samantha struggled to maintain control. Amid the commotion, one figure remained eerily silent. Council member Loris Telkin, a tall, pale alien with sharp features and piercing eyes. Samantha noticed his stillness and felt a chill run down her spine. Was he involved? Before she could push further, disaster struck. A sudden alert flashed across the council's main screen. A security breach. Moments later, a message appeared. Asterisk, Ambassador Samantha Brooks is guilty of leaking classified data. Arrest her immediately. Asterisk. Council guards moved swiftly, surrounding Samantha before she could react. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber as she was led away, protesting loudly. "This is a setup," she shouted. "Don't let them silence the truth." Daniel Carter watched in horror from the sidelines. He had been barred from speaking during the session, but had stayed close, ready to support Samantha. Now, seeing her arrested, he felt anger boil inside him. "They're framing her," he muttered to Laura Hayes, who stood beside him. "We can't let this happen." Laura nodded grimly. "But how do we help her?" "They'll never believe us." Daniel clenched his fists, thinking hard. Then he remembered something: the files Samantha had shown him earlier. If they could retrieve the original evidence and present it directly to the council, maybe they could clear her name. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. That night, Daniel and Laura snuck into the council's restricted archives, guided by Emily Grant, who used her access credentials to get them inside. The tension was palpable as they navigated dimly lit corridors, avoiding patrols. Finally, they'd reached the server room where the files were stored. Laura worked quickly, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she hacked into the system. "You've got 2 minutes before someone notices," Emily whispered urgently through their comms link. "I'm almost there," Laura replied, sweat dripping down her face. With seconds to spare, she copied the data onto a portable drive. As they turned to leave, alarms blared, red lights flashing throughout the building. "Go, go, go," Daniel urged, leading the way as guards closed in. They barely escaped, dodging laser fire and leaping over obstacles. When they finally emerged into the cool night air, Daniel clutched the drive tightly, knowing it held the key to saving Samantha, and perhaps humanity itself. Back at a safe location, they reviewed the files, confirming the conspiracy beyond any doubt. Exhausted but resolute, Daniel vowed to bring the truth to light, no matter the cost. The galaxy deserved to know the real story. And so did Samantha. As the final vote approached, the pressure on Samantha Brooks and her allies grew almost unbearable. The council chambers buzzed with whispered conversations and heated arguments. Some representatives remained firmly against humanity, convinced that banning them from warfare was the only way to ensure peace. Others wavered, torn between fear of human aggression and hope for their potential. Samantha knew she couldn't afford to lose focus, not now when so much was at stake. Daniel Carter's efforts to change hadn't gone unnoticed. His participation in the psychological training programs and his willingness to take responsibility for the incident had earned him cautious respect from a few key council members. One of them, a soft-spoken representative from the Terran species, approached Samantha after observing Daniel during a session. "Your soldier shows promise," the Terran said quietly. "Perhaps not all humans are beyond redemption." Samantha nodded, grateful for the small victory. "He's trying," she replied. "And he's not alone. Many of us want to prove we can be better. Despite these signs of progress, doubts lingered. Rumors began circulating that Earth's government might withdraw from the Galactic Council altogether if the ban passed. General Harper, still bitter about the scrutiny, hinted at this possibility during a private meeting with Samantha. "If they tie our hands, we'll have no choice but to leave," he warned. "We won't let them dictate how we protect ourselves." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. She knew Harper's words carried weight back on Earth, where public opinion was sharply divided. Some citizens supported her diplomatic efforts, believing cooperation was the path forward. Others sided with Harper, arguing that humanity shouldn't bow to alien demands. The rift threatened to weaken Earth's position further, making Samantha's job even harder. Amidst the chaos, Samantha received an anonymous message late one night. It was brief but alarming. Asterisk, "The council isn't what it seems. Look deeper." Asterisk at first, she dismissed it as paranoia or a prank, but something about the tone made her uneasy. She shared the message with Emily Grant, who urged caution. "It could mean nothing," Emily admitted. "But if someone's trying to warn you, we should listen." Determined to uncover the truth, Samantha dug into archived council records, searching for anything unusual. What she found shocked her. Hidden within layers of bureaucratic data were traces of secret communications between certain council members and shadowy organizations. These groups appeared to have influenced events leading up to the skirmish with the Zorathians, manipulating information to provoke conflict. Someone, or something, had wanted humanity to fail. Armed with this evidence, Samantha confronted Cal Varn privately. The Eridani council member listened intently as she laid out her findings. "This goes deeper than just banning humans from warfare," she insisted. "Someone orchestrated this entire situation to weaken Earth's standing in the galaxy." Cal's expression darkened. Though he didn't confirm or deny her suspicions, he promised to investigate further. "If what you say is true, it changes everything," he said gravely. "But exposing this conspiracy won't be easy. Be careful, Samantha." Back home, tensions escalated as news of the impending vote reached Earth. Protests erupted in major cities, with crowds chanting slogans both for and against the council's decision. General Harper seized the moment to rally support for defiance, fueling fears that humanity might abandon diplomacy altogether. Samantha watched the broadcasts with growing dread, knowing time was running out. With the final vote only hours away, Samantha gathered her allies for one last strategy session. Daniel, Emily, and Laura Hayes joined her, each bringing their own strengths to the table. Together, they reviewed the evidence and planned their next move. If the conspiracy came to light, it could sway undecided council members. But revealing it also carried risks. Whoever was behind the manipulation wouldn't go down without a fight. As dawn broke over the council chambers, Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and she was determined to fight until the very end. Whatever happened, she vowed to stand by her principles, and to show the galaxy that humanity's story wasn't defined by its mistakes. The debate over Cal Varn's proposal to ban humans from warfare dominated the council chambers for days. Opinions were divided, and tensions ran high. Some representatives argued that humanity's violent history made them unfit for combat, while others believed such a ban would only breed resentment and weaken the galaxy's unity. Samantha Brooks worked tirelessly behind the scenes, meeting with undecided council members in private to sway their votes. She knew time was running out. Without a strong counterargument, the motion could pass. Dr. Emily Grant played a key role in these efforts, using her expertise to emphasize humanity's potential for growth. "Humans are adaptable," she explained during one meeting with a skeptical representative. "They learn from their mistakes faster than many other species. Banning them outright will only push them away from the council. Instead, offer guidance and support. Show them trust." Samantha echoed this sentiment, sharing stories of Earth's recent diplomatic successes and highlighting Daniel Carter's willingness to take responsibility for his actions. Slowly but surely, she began winning over a few council members who had initially opposed her. However, progress was slow, and the opposition remained fierce. Meanwhile, Daniel wrestled with his emotions. The idea of being stripped of his role as a soldier felt like a personal failure. He spent hours pacing the corridors of the council building, replaying Cal Varn's words in his mind. Was he truly nothing more than a relic of humanity's violent past? Or could he prove himself worthy of another chance? One evening, as he sat alone in the dimly lit lounge area, Laura Hayes joined him. She had been quiet since returning from the outpost, unsure how to process everything that had happened. "You okay, sir?" she asked softly, sitting across from him. Daniel shrugged. "Not really. This whole thing, it's bigger than me. Bigger than all of us. If they pass that ban, what happens to people like us? Are we just supposed to sit back and watch while others fight our battles?" Laura hesitated before responding. "Maybe this is about more than fighting. Maybe it's about showing them we're better than they think we are." Her words lingered in Daniel's mind long after she left. For the first time, he considered the possibility that stepping away from warfare might not be an insult. It could be an opportunity. If humanity focused on diplomacy and cooperation instead of conflict, perhaps they could earn the trust of the galaxy in ways no battle ever could. Encouraged by this shift in perspective, Daniel decided to undergo psychological evaluations and training programs designed to address aggressive tendencies among soldiers. It wasn't easy. He struggled with exercises meant to promote patience and empathy, but he pushed through, determined to set an example. His efforts didn't go unnoticed. Several council members expressed cautious approval, seeing his participation as proof that humanity was willing to change. Back in the council chambers, the final vote loomed closer. Samantha gave one last impassioned speech, appealing to the council's sense of fairness. Punishing an entire species for the mistakes of a few was unjust, she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Give us the tools to grow. Hold us accountable, yes, but don't write us off because of fear." Her words resonated with some, tipping the scales slightly in humanity's favor. Though the outcome was still uncertain, there was a glimmer of hope. As the council prepared to cast their votes, Daniel stood beside Samantha, ready to face whatever came next. Together, they represented humanity, not its flaws, but its promise. Whatever the decision, they vowed to stand united, proving that even in the face of adversity, humans could rise above. The day of the second hearing arrived, and the atmosphere in the council chambers was tense. Representatives from across the galaxy filled the room, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Samantha Brooks stood at the center, flanked by Dr. Emily Grant and Daniel Carter. It was a risky move bringing Daniel along, but Samantha believed his presence would show accountability, a soldier willing to face judgment for his actions. As the session began, Cal Varn, a respected council member from the Eridani system, addressed the assembly. His voice carried authority as he spoke. "This council has heard accusations against humanity. Today, we will listen to their response. Let us proceed with fairness and open minds." Samantha stepped forward, her hands steady despite the weight of the moment. She began by acknowledging the tragedy that had occurred. "What happened was a mistake," she said firmly. "But it was not born out of malice or aggression. It was the result of misinformation and poor leadership. Humanity is not perfect. We never claimed to be, but we are capable of learning and growing." She then turned to Emily, who took over to present her findings. Using holographic displays, Emily showed examples of humanity's efforts to cooperate with other species. She highlighted successful trade agreements, joint scientific research projects, and cultural exchanges. These achievements prove that humans can contribute positively to the galaxy, Emily explained. "Yes, we have made errors, but no civilization is without flaws. What matters is how we respond to those errors." When Emily finished, all eyes turned to Daniel. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of countless stares. For a moment, he hesitated, unsure if he could find the right words. Then he spoke, his voice clear and sincere. "I led the team that fired on the Zorathians. I gave the order to destroy their drones. At the time, I thought I was protecting my crew. Now I know I was wrong." He paused, looking directly at the council members. "Aiden, I take full responsibility for my actions, but I also believe this incident shows why transparency is so important. If we had known the truth about the Zorathians, none of this would have happened." His honesty struck a chord with some council members, though others remained skeptical. A representative from the Luminic species, a being with translucent skin and glowing veins, leaned forward. "Your words are moving, human, but they do not erase the fact that your kind has a history of violence. How can we trust you not to repeat these mistakes?" Before Samantha could respond, Calvarn raised a hand to silence the murmurs spreading through the chamber. He looked thoughtful as he addressed the assembly. "Perhaps the issue is not whether humans can be trusted, but how they can be guided. I propose a radical solution. Ban humans from participating in warfare entirely. Let them focus on diplomacy, science, and trade instead of conflict." The room erupted into chaos. Some council members shouted in agreement, while others argued fiercely against the idea. Daniel felt a surge of anger at the suggestion. Was this how the galaxy saw humanity? As nothing more than a threat to be controlled. Beside him, Samantha clenched her fists, her mind racing. The proposal wasn't just unfair, it was dangerous. If accepted, it would strip Earth of its ability to defend itself, leaving humanity vulnerable. "We won't accept this," Samantha whispered to Daniel, her voice low but resolute. "There has to be another way." Daniel nodded, determination replacing his earlier frustration. Whatever happened next, they would fight together, not just for themselves, but for the future of humanity. As the debate raged on, one thing became clear. The decision would shape the fate of Earth and its place among the stars. And Samantha, Daniel, and their allies were ready to do whatever it took to ensure humanity wasn't defined by its past mistakes. The classified files Samantha uncovered painted a grim picture. They revealed not only that the Zorathians had been attempting peaceful contact, but also that Earth's government had deliberately withheld this information from Daniel's team. The intercepted signals showed clear patterns designed to mimic universal constants, a language of math and science meant to bridge communication gaps between species. Yet, instead of sharing this knowledge, those in power had chosen secrecy, leaving soldiers like Daniel blind to the truth. Samantha spent hours poring over the documents, her frustration growing with each new detail. She couldn't understand why anyone would gamble with lives like this. Was it pride, fear, or something worse? Whatever the reason, the consequences were devastating. Humanity's reputation was on the line, and the Council's trust in Earth hung by a thread. If she didn't act quickly, the damage might become irreversible. Determined to make things right, Samantha reached out to Dr. Emily Grant, a renowned xenobiologist who specialized in studying alien cultures. Emily was known for her work bridging gaps between species, and Samantha hoped her expertise could help turn the tide. They met in a quiet corner of the council chambers, away from prying eyes. "I need your help," Samantha said as she slid the files across the table. "This proves we acted without knowing the full story. If we can show the council that humanity isn't inherently hostile, that this was a mistake caused by bad leadership, we might have a chance." Emily skimmed through the documents, her brow furrowing. "This is troubling," she admitted. "But it's also an opportunity. If we frame this as a lesson learned, we can demonstrate humanity's capacity for growth. People make mistakes, but what matters is how they respond." Together, they devised a plan. Emily would prepare a presentation highlighting humanity's potential for cooperation, using examples from Earth's history and recent diplomatic successes. Meanwhile, Samantha would push to expose the truth about the withheld information, even if it meant challenging her own government. It was risky, but both women agreed it was their best shot. As preparations continued, Daniel found himself wrestling with his own emotions. Back at the outpost, he replayed the battle in his mind. imagining how things might have gone differently if he'd known the truth. He couldn't stop thinking about the drones, the ones he'd ordered destroyed. What if they really had been messages of peace? The thought gnawed at him, keeping him awake at night. One evening, while sitting alone in the mess hall, Daniel was approached by Laura Hayes, a young technician who had served under him during the skirmish. She hesitated before speaking, clearly unsure whether to broach the subject. "Sir, I've been thinking," she began cautiously. "Do you think we could have avoided all this if someone had told us what the drones were?" Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples. "I don't know, Hayes. Maybe. But none of us knew. We followed orders, just like we were trained to do." He paused, his voice softening. "That doesn't mean I feel good about it, though." Laura nodded, sensing his pain. "What are you going to do now?" "I'm not sure yet," Daniel admitted. "But I can't sit here and pretend everything's fine. If there's a way to fix this, to prove we're better than what happened, I want to be part of it." Word spread quickly among the crew about Samantha's efforts to uncover the truth. Some were skeptical, believing it was too late to change anything. Others felt a flicker of hope, inspired by her determination. Daniel decided to reach out to her directly, offering his support however he could. When they finally spoke, Samantha was surprised but grateful. "You don't have to do this," she told him. "You've already done enough." "No," Daniel replied firmly. "This isn't just your fight. It's mine too. If we're going to prove that humanity deserves another chance, then we need to stand together." With renewed resolve, Samantha and Daniel joined forces, determined to face the council once more. Though the road ahead was uncertain, they clung to the belief that honesty and accountability could pave the way forward. For the first time since the incident, there was a glimmer of hope, not just for humanity, but for the fragile bonds holding the galaxy together. The aftermath of the skirmish left Daniel Carter and his crew shaken. They returned to a human outpost on the edge of Council territory, where reports of the incident had already begun circulating. News traveled fast in the age of interstellar communication, and soon the entire galaxy seemed to know about the clash between humans and the mysterious alien ship. The Galactic Council wasted no time calling for an inquiry, demanding answers from Earth's representatives. Samantha Brooks, a diplomat known for her calm demeanor and sharp mind, was chosen to speak on behalf of humanity. She arrived at the council chambers, a grand hall filled with towering pillars and glowing holographic displays. Representatives from dozens of species sat in silence as she took her place at the center of the room. Her heart raced, but she kept her expression steady. This wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about proving that humanity could be trusted. The hearing began with accusations flying from all sides. A representative from the Valon species, a tall, insect-like being with shimmering wings, spoke first. "Your actions were reckless," it said in a voice that buzzed like static. "You fired without provocation. What proof do you have that the Zorathians intended harm?" Samantha hesitated, glancing down at her notes. She knew the truth wasn't so simple. "We followed standard protocols," she explained carefully. "The Zorathian vessel approached without identification or communication. Our soldiers acted to protect themselves and their mission." "But your soldiers destroyed drones sent by the Zorathians," another council member interrupted. This one was a hulking creature with deep blue skin and glowing eyes. "Those drones carried messages, not weapons. They were attempts at peaceful contact." Samantha felt the weight of those words sink in. She hadn't known this before now. No one had told her, or Daniel, that the drones might have been harmless. Her stomach churned as she realized how badly things had gone wrong. Still, she pressed on. If that is true, then this tragedy was a misunderstanding. It does not reflect humanity's desire for peace. Behind the scenes, Samantha worked tirelessly to uncover more details. She reached out to General Harper, the military leader who had issued the orders Daniel followed. At first, Harper was evasive, brushing off her questions with vague statements. But when Samantha pushed harder, demanding access to classified files, she discovered something shocking. Earth's government had intercepted signals from the Zorethian ship days before the encounter. The transmissions contained clear signs of friendliness, patterns designed to mimic universal mathematical constants, a common method of initiating contact among alien species. Furious, Samantha confronted Harper in private. "You knew they weren't hostile," she accused, slamming the documents onto his desk. "Why didn't you tell Daniel's team? Why did you let them walk into a trap?" Harper leaned back in his chair, his face unreadable. "Orders came from higher up," he said coldly. "We couldn't risk appearing weak. Humanity has enemies in this galaxy, Brooks. If we look soft, others will take advantage." Samantha wanted to scream, but she forced herself to stay calm. Arguing wouldn't help now. Instead, she vowed to bring the truth to light, no matter the cost. As she left Harper's office, her mind raced with possibilities. How could she convince the council that humanity deserved a second chance? And how could she make sure something like this never happened again? Back at the council chambers, Daniel sat quietly in the audience, listening to every word. He hadn't been invited to speak, but he couldn't stay away. Hearing the accusations against him and his team stung deeply. He replayed the battle in his mind over and over, wondering if he could have done something differently. Had he failed as a leader? Was he responsible for starting a war? As the hearing dragged on, Daniel noticed Samantha growing more frustrated. She argued passionately, trying to defend humanity while exposing the flaws in its leadership. Watching her fight for the truth gave him a small spark of hope. Maybe there was still a way to fix this mess. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy might never trust humans again. And that thought terrified him. In a distant future, humanity had spread its wings far beyond Earth, colonizing planets and joining the Galactic Council, a union of advanced civilizations working together to maintain peace across the stars. Among the humans was Daniel Carter, a soldier known for his sharp mind and bravery. He had earned medals and praise for his skills in battle, but today he found himself facing something much bigger than any war he'd fought before. Daniel's unit was stationed near the edge of human-controlled space, patrolling a quiet sector where few ships ever traveled. The mission seemed routine, just another day scanning for anything unusual. But then, something strange appeared on their sensors. A vessel, unlike anything they'd seen before, drifted silently toward them. It wasn't marked with any known symbols or flags. No signals came from it, no attempts at communication, just silence. "Could be explorers," one of the crew members suggested nervously. "Or maybe traders who lost their way. Or it could be trouble," Daniel replied, his voice calm but firm. He ordered the ship to hold position, keeping a safe distance while they tried to establish contact. Hours passed, and still there was no response. Tension grew thicker inside the command center as everyone waited, unsure of what to expect next. Finally, the alien ship moved closer. It didn't seem threatening, but appearances could be deceiving. General Harper, Daniel's superior back on Earth, had given strict orders. If an unknown ship approached without identifying itself, it should be treated as a potential threat. Following protocol, Daniel gave the order to fire warning shots. Bright beams of energy streaked through space, narrowly missing the alien craft. To everyone's surprise, the ship responded, not with weapons, but with movement. It turned slightly, revealing intricate patterns etched into its surface. Moments later, small drones emerged from its hull, heading straight for Daniel's ship. Alarms blared as the crew scrambled to prepare defenses. Were these drones weapons? Probes? No one knew. "Weapons hot," Daniel shouted, gripping the edge of his console. His heart pounded as he watched the drones grow closer on the screen. When they reached the ship, they didn't attack. Instead, they began emitting strange signals, patterns of light and sound that flickered across the monitors. The crew stared in confusion. What did it mean? Before anyone could figure it out, panic erupted. One of the younger officers, mistaking the drones for an assault, fired a missile. The explosion lit up the darkness of space, destroying several drones instantly. The alien ship reacted immediately, launching projectiles of its own. Chaos broke loose as both sides exchanged fire, each believing the other had started the fight. When the smoke cleared, the damage was done. Several human soldiers lay dead or wounded, and the alien ship had retreated, leaving behind only debris. Back on Earth, news of the skirmish spread quickly. Leaders demanded answers, and the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. For Daniel, the weight of what happened pressed heavily on his shoulders. Had he made the wrong call? Could this have been avoided? Questions swirled in his mind as he stared out at the endless expanse of stars. Little did he know, this single incident would spark a chain reaction that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever.